Welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. Let's continue exploring supposedly Neolithic concept. And yesterday we talked about men, double panel door. And of course, today we're going to talk about single panel door, which is hu. Okay, if you look at the 2000 years ago's dictionary, the two still look quite similar, not exactly the same. That the sequence, due to the writing convenience, right? The flow of the brush. This is the way to write a single panel door versus this is double panel. The starting, you can see the starting like this versus starting horizontally like that. So this household concept derived from the single panel door. And I would argue probably double panel door are for bigger house because double panel matches to the size of the house, right? The structure, the physical structure. And the majority of people, probably ancient times, especially the people, the mass over there can only afford a single panel door. Like most of us today, even right? Who like a very few households actually use double panel door, right? Most of us are single panel door. So who in traditional Chinese as well as in today's language or concept, probably more likely to be associated with a household, a unit of family living under the same roof. So, hu. This is simplified, traditional, and you can see it's kind of a carryover, the stroke sequence from the 2000 years ago dictionary. And here is like super simplified into a dot. Me starting from simplified Chinese here, I have no way to associate this with the double panel door. Like the two both have a dot on the top. And I'm guessing uh, linguists back then who were in the simplification of Chinese in the 1950s probably retained that dot to carry over from the concept of house because that's a mian, like a rooftop with a chimney. So that's simplifying a chimney, and chimney signify this is a living quarters for people because we have to cook food processing, right? That's essential. So this chimney stayed on top of the single panel door as well as double panel door. But it caused a barrier for me that I have no way to associate men and who actually associated this way. Now we know. And because the majority of people are single panel door, so that associates with the management of the people or the registration or census of people. So who eventually extends to this household, the concept, English equivalent for household, or the registration of one unit of family. 门户之见, when we talk about 门户之见, it's that between the door and household, between the double panel versus single panel doors, and 之见 is their 见. We use see, human see here to signify the perspective, point of view. So that's exactly when English are talking about, and that's where I come from, right? Where I come from, this expression shows you the awareness of the speaker that they have a particular position or bias when they're talking about something, and they are sharing their point of view, so POV. And 门户之见 is a Chinese way to say people from different doors may have their own POV. And it's kind of a tribalism equivalent to Chinese concept of it's my very narrow scoped, very probably my class, my geography, my local environment, my household, confined or limited point of view. It's very biased, very singular vision. So that's 门户之见. It means tribal dispute, disagreement. Everybody comes from different households, have their own point of view. Okay, 门当户对 is the slogan for matchmaking service in China. When we're talking about go out dating, find your partner, the number one rule in Chinese would be this four word, 门当户对. You need to make sure your door, double panel door, are equal, meaning, yeah, your door size need to match, and the 户对. If you're single panel door, then you need to pair that household together. So basically, door and the single or double panel door symbolize the socioeconomic status, the stratification of a society, right? And you only marry laterally, like you don't shift, you don't do this social mobility thing when it comes to marriage. Do all you want when you want to seek companion from another gender, but if you're talking about marriage, which is an economic, social binding on top of legal, right? On top of romance, supposedly, mostly it's a money transaction thing. So the advice for Chinese dating world still probably applies today is you find your match by finding the people coming from the same socioeconomic um, status. You don't go up or down. Of course, we try to go up. Everybody try to go up, right? There are plenty of evidence in such dating shows that girls, especially, would voice out their preference is to go upstream, right? To find somebody from a better to-do family household. But the Chinese original advice would be you match your door size by 门当户对 expression. Okay, 户口 is a Chinese household registration system that pin down where you come from. So basically, Chinese major divide. I mean, this is a totally different system from the West. The West, wherever you move, you just go. Follow your job, follow your love, follow your interest, your hobby, even, right? Follow wherever you want to go. You have the freedom to go to a different state. Just change your license to a different state. But in China, it's different. Where you were born, you're tied to that land. So you have a very high barrier, even more so than getting a green card in America, to get a residence. If you come from the rural, to get a resident in Beijing and Shanghai, the big cities. So there is this big divide in China. It's not about gender, not about orientation. And China, majority of them are Han, doesn't have a race problem too. The big divide in China is this rural versus urban, this big urbanization divide. And this 户口, this household and mouse symbolize population. Within that household, multiple mouse counts, right? Then that's a unit of management for the government to count how many people in there, how many houses, how many are renters or owners, things like that, right? And this 户口 would pin down exactly where you were born, where you belong managerially. And you don't have the right to a lot of services, like a kid go to school, you are confined to where you were born. So the social mobility in terms not just social economic, vertical change, horizontal change. You move to a different west to east. Well, we don't have double coast over there. From the mountain areas to the ocean side, not easy. People are bound to the land by this 户口 system, this household mouse system. And I guess it's a carryover from the ancient time when the country's ruler tried to rule because they try to prevent people move. They try to prevent people migrate, gather to form a kind of a force or to form a kind of a voice to be potentially a threat to the government, to the governing, right, to the ruler. So from back then, 1,000 years ago, people are bound to their land. Therefore, I guess we don't have many explorers or travelers on this land because you're bind to where you were born, and that's 户口. All right, so this is 户. I just have tried very hard to find a single door, panel door to match to the concept of what 户 is to us originally. Thank you for your time. See you another day.